and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel in the first place. Today we have a Shigaraki ex-listener. There is a slight warning for mention of blood and injury. It is not a huge mention of it, but I just want to put it here, so let's get into it. Shigaraki was sitting with Kurogiri as he waited for you, Toga, and Dabi to return from your latest mission. He often allowed the three of you guys to go together, because he knew that you all got on well enough, and that specifically Dabi knew that there would be hell to pay if you came back with so much as a scratch on you. Shigaraki had always been a little protective over you, especially when it came to your quirk. Your quirk was useful, but it came with a rather large downfall. Supersonic hearing also means super sensitive hearing, and when it came to your quirk, if you didn't have your support gear, you could end up losing your hearing completely. Your support gear, which your brother had made for you when you were younger, consisted of a hearing aid that you had to wear at all times. It helped regulate the sounds you were hearing so that way they wouldn't damage your ears. Without them, even the sound of birds squawking overhead could cause severe damage. When you arrived back at the bar with Toga and Dabi, Shigaraki jumped up from his seat and rushed over to you. There was blood running down the sides of your face, coming from your ears. In your shaking hands were your hearing aids, broken and battered. "What happened?" Shigaraki quietly grumbled, noticing the way you grimaced at the sound of his voice. It was loud. Too loud. For anyone else, it would have sounded like a whisper, but for you, it was like you were standing next to a gun. He looked at you apologetically and glared at Dabi. The moment he opened his mouth to explain, with a very quiet sigh, Kurogiri passed over a piece of paper and a pencil for them to write it down, to avoid making too much noise and only make your injuries worse. However, even the pencil quietly scraping against the paper was so loud that you had to clutch your ears to bear with the pain. Shigaraki saw this and placed a hand on your shoulder, and he looked into your eyes, trying to reassure you somewhat. When Dabi finished writing it down, he passed the paper to Shigaraki. The crumpling sound it made as it was passed over made you flinch. The paper read, "We were caught off guard. Listener's support gear was destroyed during the fight, but the injury doesn't look too severe. We still managed to get the job done." It was a small note, but it about summed it up. Shigaraki placed down the note as quietly as he could and dismissed the others before taking a hold of your hand and pulling you along to his room. He was so careful to not make too much noise that he even pulled the door closed slowly so that way it didn't click. Then he pulled you over to his bed and sat you down before grabbing a box of tissues and his phone. He began typing on his phone, pressing his fingers down ever so gently so the tiniest noise it would create wouldn't hurt you. When he was done, he turned the screen towards you. "I'll be as quiet as I can. Can I clean your ears?" With a soft smile, you nodded, and so he carefully pulled out a tissue, kneeling in front of you, gently pressing it to your ear as he began to wipe the blood away. It hurt a little bit, but you knew it had to be done. He had wiped your ear with one hand, and the other came to cup your cheek. He tilted your head to see your ear more properly as he cleaned it. The whole time, his thumb was gently smoothing over your skin. He knew you were in pain, and he hated to cause you any more, but he knew that he needed to clean your ears before he even began to inspect the damage, and find a way to control it until you had your new support gear to handle your quirk. He was ever so gentle. Every dab against your ear with the tissue was soft. He really did make as little noise as possible. He was on to the next year. He followed the same process for that one, and when he was done, he leaned in and delicately kissed you as if he was praising you for putting up with the pain, and hoping to comfort you at the same time. You smiled, thanking him silently, when he went to put the tissues in the bin. As he walked over to you, he was on his phone again. "What can I do to help? How do I stop it from hurting?" You reached out to him, pulling him close as you wrapped your arms around him, burying your head into his stomach. It only lasted a moment, because soon you were pulling away, taking his phone from his hands. He watched as you typed away, waiting for your response. "Noise-canceling earplugs. That will stop the pain while I get my hearing aids repaired." He nodded and kissed your forehead lightly before heading out. You didn't need to ask where he was going because you already knew. He was going out to get those noise-canceling earplugs. You knew he wouldn't waste a moment while you were in pain. Your ears still hurt, but the bleeding had stopped, which was a relief. You just hoped that your support gear could be repaired soon, because until they were, you would be living in a world without sound. It wasn't so bad, but there were some things you would miss. The sound of Shigaraki's voice, for one. He wasn't gone for too long. You assumed he must have gone with Kurogiri to get what you needed. When he came back into his room, he was so careful to walk lightly, and closed the door just as carefully as before. What little sound did come from it still hurt, but not enough to make you wince. Without a word, he sat down beside you and held out his hand to you. A soft smile grew on your face as you reached out and took the earplugs from him before carefully pushing them into your ear. When they were firmly in place, you let out a relieved sigh. "Thank you." Shigaraki nodded and pulled you into a hug, burying his head in your hair for a moment. He hated that you were in pain. He just wanted to see you smile and for you to be happy. But your quirk made you so fragile at times that avoiding these things was impossible. This would likely happen again, and when it did, he would be prepared to look after you again. Your cuddle didn't end as he lied back on the bed, pulling you down with him so that your head was resting on his chest. He knew it must have been so weird for you to not be able to hear anything, when you were so used to being able to hear everything. You'd be like this until your support gear was fixed, and a world so foreign to you. He just wanted you to know that it would be okay, and soon you would be able to hear everything you wanted to again. You nuzzled into him as he began to run his fingers through your hair. Against your head, subtle vibrations came from Shigaraki. He was humming, almost out of habit, no doubt. You usually hummed little melodies as you cuddled because you always said how much you enjoyed it and how soothing it was. Even now, although you couldn't hear it, it still gave you a sense of comfort and familiarity. When you closed your eyes, it was almost as if you could imagine the tune he was humming along to, as if you could hear it on your head. One thing that always reassured you was that you knew he would always be here by your side, always looking after you. You didn't know what you would do without him. A gentle tap on your shoulder pulled you from your thoughts as you opened your eyes. He mouthed, "I love you." You smiled so widely and rolled onto your stomach and pressed your lips to his. "I love you too, so much more than you know." He smiled back, running a hand through your hair as he pulled back for another kiss. The silence wasn't so bad when you were with him. Alright, so that's the end of this one. I hope you enjoyed. I know, again, it's not necessarily shorter. It's still going to be around like 7 or 8 minutes. But I wish it was a bit longer. Again, I'm not taking any requests until next year, and I know that sounds like a long time, but guys, it's only a month. It'll be okay. I'm kind of just going to be doing my own thing. There are a few birthday requests in the month of December to come, so I hope you're kind of excited for that. What else is there? Music link, fanfic link, Discord form link in the description, as well as my Amazon wishlist. You don't have to buy anything. It's all good. I hope to see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, night, whatever, and goodbye!